I'm Reggie.
And I'm Brian.
And this is R&B Talks.
Again.
You know Brian?
No, I don't know Brian. Is he a nice guy? Sorry, I had to throw that one in
Depends
there.
on what day it is.
Okay.
To be fair.
It is, right? Okay. I have good and bad days.
I know other Brians too, though. I could be
Yes.
talking about one of them.
That's true.
You know, it's been good. How has your week been, sir?
It has been interesting because it's been very attached to what we've talked about, what we're going to talk about today.
And what are we going to talk about today, Brian?
We're going to talk about rest. Ooh, but just a very up and down week, right? I'm starting to get the rhythm at the job and doing the heavy labor and all the things like that. And there's something, I said it before, but there's just something really satisfying about walking out at the end of a day and just knowing that you just physically leaned into the job and just got a lot done. And
I'm trying to teach that to my girls.
yeah, and then but the biggest problem is that it doesn't stop. There's more tomorrow.
There's always more,
but that's okay. Job security, right?
Yeah.
So,
but your kids, man, that is a hard thing to like teach your kids because it's counterintuitive what they want to do.
yeah, it's completely backwards from what kids want to do. My sons right now are in this, struggle between being lazy device kids and trying to be active. And thankfully they're both away at camp and being active, and there's no devices at camp, and they have to get out there and, run amok. And
it's good for them, man.
It's good for them, man. Whitewater rafting and all that stuff. So, how's your week been?
It's fun. Dude, we have all our sales kickoff stuff for the year is this week. So it's like all these rah, meetings and stuff. Our CEO is very visionary in like how he sees things and what he talks about. So there's always like this looking into the future about this and about technology and all this kind of stuff. And that's what a CEO is supposed to do, is like have a vision and like push that vision out to where it gets fulfilled. But it's just, I guess at my career level and like all that stuff, it's like I don't need that, I understand what my job is. I know what I want to do. I'm there for a reason. I know my purpose, so it's kind of like, I just really want to know if they're going to support the efforts I want to do, if they're going to invest into the company and the products and the people, but they don't ever do that. They don't ever say that, right? There's always like with big companies, there's all these decisions being made at the top level that they don't tell anybody about until like the very minute.
Well, yeah. And for me, I did it. Yeah. I was a VP of operations and in upper management, and I can be completely honest with you and tell you, as much as I enjoyed the people in the companies I worked for, I found myself being that guy, rolling in and, hey, there's the new initiative. Whoa, are you going to make any more money? No. Are we going to do anything innovative? No, but you should be excited. And
I know.
And then you leave and you feel dirty. What did I just lied and told them there was something great, and there's nothing great.
Well, it's like
right?
you're as you get to the manager up level kind of stuff, that's what you're expected to be like the cheerleader of the teams and stuff a little bit. And it's like, it's kind of counterintuitive to who I am in some ways.
Well, you and I both, like, we're very direct people, and I have a very direct management style. And when I was allowed to manage with my style of management, I was very successful. But it was when people tried to curve that part of me and tell me that I needed to fit into this box. Yeah. And I was like, no. I was like, and I wasn't successful. I struggled because if I see a problem, if everything's a nail, I'm a hammer. Let's get this done, right?
Yeah.
But then it was this whole, well, you have to, be diplomat. No, it's not about diplomacy. It's about, hey, I do much better when someone looks at me and goes, hey man, I really like you and all, You're a good employee, but you're screwing this part up, and I need you to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I get the nuances of like the leadership styles and stuff that and this is all evolved, but I don't particularly care for the current the current leadership corporate that they push with the kind of I don't even know how to say it. It is more diplomatic, but it's more of everybody is empowering your employees and all this, and which you should be doing. But it's almost like it's almost like they've lessened the leadership position in a way to make it more flat in order to create this ambient atmosphere of empowerment. I
call it ambient equality. Like, it's not really. Well, go back to the way it was in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, manager, whatever, president was there. Unless there was an issue, he was not trying to direct you. You were expected to know and be able to move within your job on your own
most of the time.
But nowadays, this life of micromanagement, honestly, I think there's not enough expected of the employee, and there's way too much expected of the manager, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's a value thing for them. Well, we're paying you a little more, so you need to do 30 more things. Well, you don't pay me for 30 more things, right?
It's different in technology a little bit. Not in that way, really, but like in technology, it just seems like it's like I can't even think about it really. And that could be today because I'm just worn out, but like, I just feel like, as a mid-level guy, right? Mid-level management type of dude here, I don't have a lot of freedom or any say-so that I should in order to run the business like I want to, or it needs to even, and like, I've been doing this for so long. Like, I know the market, I know like our competition, I know what we need to do in order to maintain and be successful and all this stuff. And, it has to come down from, it's almost like you have to, it's that whole adage where you have to make it their idea in order for it to become reality.
Fool them into thinking it's their idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like that. But look, I'm not going to be judged by my company too much because, I mean, look, we are very successful in a lot of things they do, and we're a very small part of what they do. And I mean, I love my job, and I still do, and I still want to go to work. So I mean, can't say too much. I'm not going to be negative about it.
I don't think we, like, for me, I'm now a worker bee, and there is some very freedom. There's some very big freedoms that have come back along with me not having to be the guy sitting on the top of the hill, pulling the strings on the puppets. I literally get up. I know what my job is. I go to work, do my job, I do it well, and that's all I really need to do, right? Like, there's no unnecessary, communication and don't get me wrong, my team, we communicate as we're working because we're constructing and building certain things. So we have to be communicating with each other. But at the end of the day, I walk out and let the managers handle all the garbage, right? Because it's very liberating right now. Now that's not to say that I don't want to go into management again later, right? Like, that might, if the right situation, but it would have to be the right situation. Like, it couldn't be like it was where I was working 5, 6, 12-hour days. I can't do that. But if it were the right situation and the right hours and the right team, sure, I'd give it a shot.
Well, I mean, for me, when you talk about, I think responsibility is kind of what I was listening to you. That's what I thought it turned in my head. And it's like, I'm very conscientious about being, responsible for my team, the people who would report to me, and also for the business that they do, right? And that I'm responsible for. But yet, big companies tend to not allow you to, they kind of don't want you to feel that way, because they don't give you the authority or freedom to make the decisions that change that business in a lot of ways, in some companies and sometimes, right? And I think that's critical from when you're really like, when you talk about like frontline managers, mid-level managers and stuff, they're the ones who know the business and are going to be doing that. And if they're really taking their leadership role seriously, you're kind of missing out if you're not allowing some of these decisions to happen and like flourish within the organization.
Well, and if you don't let people apply their own management styles, how will you ever know for sure whether they are either going to be continually successful at that position or whether they're going to be successful if you take them up to a higher position, right? If you're constantly, if you're leading them on a leash to everything, how are you ever going to know how they're going to handle it if, you know, they get cut loose? And a lot of that has to do with, there's a lot of companies, and I'm not picking on any particular company, but there's a lot of companies, they don't want managers, they want yes men.
Yeah.
Well, who wants to? I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are perfectly happy doing that and taking the check for it, but I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I mean. We don't have a particular management style we have to partake, but we do have the company principles and the mission and all that kind of stuff we have to kind of go by, which is, it's fine. But anyway, so that kind of leads into you know, decisions and stuff that's going to be made, including. Yes. You know, our upcoming, I know
where you're going,
election. And I guess, so we're going to have an episode coming up. We're going to talk specifically about propaganda and what it is and all that kind of stuff. That's going to come up here soon. So, but today we're going to talk about a particular piece of propaganda that just is everywhere and it's idiotic. And that is Project 2025.
Which actually, I don't really consider Project 2025 itself to be propaganda.
It's not that itself. No, it's what they're doing with it.
So much as what the ridiculous people are trying to do with it. As I have studied this, you and I talked about this, I've studied this. There are so many lies out there about this. So many lies. So many lies.
The biggest one I saw that was just, and this, we talked about this yesterday. It was just hilarious. They said, you're no longer going to get overtime pay if you work over 40 hours a week. Look at page 592 of the thing or something like, I can't remember the exact page.
Yeah,
but you go to it and it doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say any of that at all.
I mean, nothing. It actually says you should get overtime.
Yeah, it says you should get paid more. You know, and there are several advocates, as I've read, of Project 2025, several people that helped write it that are about paying people double time, not time and a half, right? Like they're really wanting to advance the cause of the middle class. Right?
Yeah.
Let's make the middle class important again.
Right? I mean, like, and there'll be a couple links. So I'll put the playbook link in the description, as well as like there's a Mad Attack Instagram reel that we watched. I'll put that down there.
And there's also, if you go to heritage.org, they have a 2-minute read on it. It's really good. Like it's called a 2-minute read. Like, and it's, you know, it just talks about, you know, the keys of it. It talks about, you know, a little bit about why they came up with it and a little bit about conservatism and things like that. And I was just very shocked and very, you know, I even heard a conspiracy that it was written by Donald Trump.
I know. So here's some hard facts for you right now.
Okay, lay it on me. I like hard facts.
It's like Trump's vision for his presidency. He's got that named Agenda 47. That is his presidency plan, kind of what he wants to do. It has nothing to do with this Project 2025. Okay, so there's that. That's plain, and he said that too. That's been clearly, he stated that. He didn't even know what it is, which I'd have no doubt. I didn't know what it was until I saw this left-wing nonsense come throwing out everywhere.
Yep.
So I mean, let's just put that right there on the board. That this is clear what this is, and let me make this because it's as annoying as all get out. You're being distracted from the other critical stuff that's going on. Let me just plainly say that out there. This is a blatant attempt to twist a think tank wish list for the presidency into something that they can use to try to divide people from looking at Trump a certain way, because they're so hurting right now because they know, because of the way Biden is and all this other stuff. Look, they're going to try everything they are, but it's blatant lies. I've seen these memes. So every single day, there's like people out there throwing these stupid things up, and they're all wrong. And really, here's the thing. Here's what I'll tell you right now. The Project 2025, I've skimmed through the vast majority. I haven't read word for word, no, but I've skimmed through a lot of it. And if you think going and like looking back at the Constitution as like the basis for the government and like applying that directly and looking more towards that document as to how our government should run, and that's a bad thing, you need to move to another country.
Yeah, you need to get out.
Bye. Go away.
I mean, here's the thing, man.
Is that too strong?
No. Which, a lot of these just the lies are just attempts to, it's just another attempt to kill conservatism in America. It's not really even, and we're going to talk about this in an episode, but the propaganda part of this is, guys, this is, again, go do your homework. It's not hard to find.
No.
If you got the Google, you can find it. If you got the Google, you can find it. It's not difficult. It's not obscured from your vision. It's not something that you have to go on some kind of 3-day binge in the internet to find. I literally typed in Project 2025 and it took me directly to heritage.org, and there was the document. It's this feed me whatever you want to feed me, as long as I don't have to think about it, logic that everybody uses. What happened to using your head?
Well, here's the thing, man. People I know that are very smart, right, are throwing this out there. They're parroting other people's posts. And like all I did, seriously, all I have to do, 2025, look at the playbook. Oh, there's a PDF. What page you say it was? I go to that page. I just read I read one paragraph.
And it immediately disqualified everything.
It took less than a minute. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are people that I know are intelligent and they should,
but you have the ability to use your mind,
but they don't. You're just parroting stuff because you're so bought into a political party or a political agenda that anything that remotely looks like, oh, that's damning for that guy. So no, I don't care if something, look, you just can't assume anything nowadays. You can't assume that what somebody posts is accurate anymore.
Well, here, let me lay it out for you like this. Kennedy was a philanderer. He basically slept with all kinds of women and was morally bankrupt in that way. Reagan sold arms to the enemy. Bush went to war over a fact that we didn't really have under our belt. It was just more propaganda. I mean, the thing is everybody wants to focus on how bad Donald Trump is. It's just, he's just another politician, right? Like he's just, it's like, oh, I shot myself in the leg and it hurt. Let me shoot myself in the leg again and see if it really did hurt. No, just, if you expect a politician in our current administration, either administration, Republican or Democrat, to be straight with you, you lose. Stop putting all your faith in these people that don't care about you. Donald Trump, if he wins and he does another 4 years, at the end of his 4 years, he's going to go be a billionaire, and he's going to forget all about us and our plight, and he's going to continue to try to make money. If Joe Biden runs another 4 years, same thing. They play for the same team.
That's what I mean. It's like politics isn't the answer for a lot of things. You need to be aware. You need to participate and do your voting duty and all that stuff. But I mean, come on, man. We just take a time. Just realize that you can't just take someone's stuff and go, oh, and think that your posts are going to actually make it. Because those of us who actually are aware, you look like an idiot when you post something like that. Because you're just stupid at that point.
When you post hot garbage, it's hot garbage.
Yeah.
It's not, it has no, okay, so just because you want it to be true doesn't give it merit.
Yeah. No.
Right? And the thing I want people to realize is this. And here, okay, so let's say we get the perfect president. Let's just put it out there. We get a guy who's loved by conservatives and loved by liberals and loved. Okay, great. It would take him 20 terms to unwind the garbage that has already been done. So this high hope that you have that someone's going to swoop in 4 years and save us, it's literally impossible. Even if they did everything perfectly for 4 years, we would still be trillions of dollars in debt because of the garbage that's been done.
You can make a dent in it, and it's just like
you can make a dent, but you're not going to wipe it out.
But you still have the political machine running in the background that's doing everything they can to elicit their party or do this or that.
And as long as there are politicians that are profiting from garbage legislature, it'll always be there.
Yeah.
If you can't take the money out of politics, this is what you're going to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
So
sorry,
I got one more thing before we hit our
soapboxed. I'm sorry,
no,
man.
I felt it. I felt it here.
You felt it down in your soul. I like it.
I would just say that on this 2025 thing, this even happened during Ben Shapiro's testimony to Congress. I thought that was hilarious.
By the way,
and
great.
he stomped Swalwell. What a stupid name. Anyway, sorry. Swalwell is, I don't know why he's still in office anyway, but it was just funny. I'll post that Officer Tatum video down there because I think looking at that, it was just Swalwell was asking Ben Shapiro about the, do you support the Project 2025? And he was like, I don't even know what that is, but there's a lot. Look, just watch it if you want to get a laugh, but it was kind of funny.
Well, it's kind of like watching a 500-pound sumo wrestler wrestling infant, because I watched it last night after we talked, and Ben Shapiro just owned that dude. He just owned him. And every time Swalwell thought he got like a self-righteous point in, literally Ben Shapiro would just swat him down. And it was there were a couple of times I just laughed and thought to myself, who do you think who do you think this guy is that you think he's not? I mean, for all his faults and all his things, Shapiro's extraordinarily intelligent.
He's really fast.
And he's really quick, and he's really good on the draw.
He's really good.
And you're not going to catch him like that. And they tried and tried and tried, and he just continually swatted them down. It was great. I would very much encourage you to watch that video if you'd like a really good laugh.
One thing, though, I saw, and it caught me off guard because I would never expect this, right? Tennessee has passed and is doing a 31 days of prayer and fasting. That was like a bill that actually got paid bipartisan to everything else in Tennessee. I mean, I put the link down for it from the articles from the Liberty Council. But yeah, they actually had this whole bill about taking 31 days for fasting and prayer and all this stuff.
That is so cool.
It's crazy. And it was not just one party effort or anything. That's exactly, I was just so tickled by it. So there's not really much to say about it. Just that I'm just, I forgot the governor's name, to be honest. But anyway, I don't know. Tennessee's did that right. And I'm really just happy for them. And I want to move to Tennessee now.
I don't want to move to Tennessee.
I like Tennessee.
I like to visit, but I don't want to live there.
Oh, I could live there. All right, Brian, look, let's talk about rest, bro. Because this is not, you would think this is such a simple topic, but it's really not.
Well, there's complexities all over the board with it. I mean, when we're thinking about rest, I kind of said this when we talked. Most people think that rest is to just sit down and do nothing. Well, part of rest is recovery. So you're kind of talking about both of those things. But biblically, one of the things that I love about the Bible is it commands us to rest. I mean, you are commanded to rest. God rested, right? If the creator of all things had to hit the pause button for a minute and go, whew, better take a break.
But I don't think that's what he did it for, though.
I don't think so, but I kind of feel like the example is if God rested, you probably ought to rest too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, 6 days of creation, seventh day he goes, hey, look, we're going to chill out. And that's actually the basis for the Sabbath and everything and all that, and the Shemitah and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it's really important. So, Brian, let me ask you this, man, because I know that this has actually been something you struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are kind of why has rest been a struggle for you?
Well, when I switched to this new position, you know, along with the mental strain of having to learn something completely new, learn how to do something completely new. In my previous position, I ate like a trainer, right? I wanted to stay in shape. I wanted to work out. So I was eating to stay lean and to keep an optimal situation. Also to set an example for my clients, right? It can be done, right? And then I switched to this other position where it's a very physically demanding job. Every day I'm there. There's not a day that we're not being asked to do very physically demanding things for, 8-9 hours. And I remained in the cycle that I was in when I was a trainer. Very low carb, very low fat,
right.
Very high protein. And I broke my body down by doing that. And because I didn't realize that I was up on this higher level of intensity and I needed to bring everything up to that level with me. And I just left it down here, which in turn caused mental strain, physical strain. It just very much, I was thrown in a loop, and last couple of days I've ate really healthy but I've taken in a higher level of calories and some more carbohydrates, and I feel great. Those issues are starting to fade away. But I mean, part of rest too is I was raised in a family where if it was daylight, you were working. Didn't matter what you were working on, you were working. And I was trained from a young kid to be doing those things. I started working for a paycheck when I was 12, 13 years old, and I never stopped since then. Right. And I took very seriously the responsibility for caring for my children and my wife and providing a life for them and all those things. So I let those things take over, which were a struggle, and it interfered with my sleep, and it interfered with it broke down my circadian rhythms. We talked about that. I mean, my metabolism was off. All those things were kind of flying all over the place. So I really had to step back away from it and be like, all right, you can't be crazy, man. You're not going to make it through this if you're doing crazy things. So, but as far as rest goes, Reggie, give me what you think rest is on you personally. How do you approach rest?
So for me, there are different types of rest. So we'll talk about that in a second. But for me, like, rest varies what that is almost day by day or even hour by hour. That could be really true. Because if I'm working and I have like a lot of work to do, like in other words, it's a day when I'm doing, either I'm presenting a bunch of different ideas or whatever, I know that I'm going to need some kind of rest from brain activity or something, mm-hmm. right? So I need to do something where I can not even, my brain can have time to just simmer down, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get, like, this is why I'm wearing this today.
By the way, this is Reggie's rest day ensemble.
Well, no, it is because, I mean, look, here's the deal. I have an issue. You have to be intentional about the rest. So I make sure I am too, right? I work from home so that, you would think, oh, you can just, well, no, because I have to, like, I'm on video. So it's like, it's not like I can just wear t-shirts and shorts all the time or whatever. No, I got to put on a shirt. I got to look presentable most days.
I got to put on a shirt.
Well, you know what I mean? Like a dress shirt. I'm sorry.
I know what you're saying.
So when I'm intentional about my rest, I'm like, if I can, I'm going to make sure that what I'm wearing is not a thought. Like, I'm as comfortable as I can be there. Nothing's bothering me or whatever. Cause you don't want something to constantly nag you. If you're really trying to, like, rest, it's, slippers, like comfy slippers, the sweatpant overall things, right?
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't be caught dead. I'm not wearing this out. There's no way I'm going to do that. Right. But if I'm at home, I'm looking for everything that can, like, take as many distractions away from my rest That's what I'll do. So in other words, getting back to brain, so I'll put on comfy clothes, whatever that is. Do something where I know my brain's going to shut off. That could be like, I'm going to read a science fiction book or something. I'll put on some headphones or watch a concert or something, or I'll watch a movie that, I don't have to think about too much. Right.
Yeah.
But conversely to that though, there's physical rest is also a part of my life. Right. So if I go out, and I've just like you saw the tree, like I've been cleaning up that tree. If I've been out there lifting logs and putting logs away, I have to be conscious that I really shouldn't do anything physical. Otherwise I will hurt myself because I already put everything I had into doing that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a very cyclic person. Mm-hmm. I'm either hot or cold when it comes to activity. I'm either like if you saw me doing work, you'd be like, what, dude, you got to settle down. Well, but that's really the only way I know I do things. I used to go all out and I get it done. Mm-hmm. And then I stop and I just slow everything down. Right. It's the same thing with creativity and all that kind of stuff with me. I'll go short periods of time, and short periods meaning like a couple hours, especially. Okay. Here's a good example. In school, writing a research paper. Okay. What I'll do, because I know I'm very cyclic. I know that I can spend a couple hours and I'll be highly productive. But after that 3 hours, I just end up staring at the screen. I know I'm going to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. So I plan this out where I'm like, okay, I'm going to I'll do this until I feel myself start on the decline of productivity. And I switch to something else. I don't necessarily like get up and do anything else. Maybe I'll turn on a video game. Or I'll turn on Netflix or watch a YouTube thing or something, just enough to like put that aside for a minute and do something else so that my brain can like let go of that and go on to something else. Right. So everything for me runs in that kind of scenario, and the time spans vary quite a bit. Right. And I am a very industrious person when I want to be, but I've learned that it's so key to just be more chill with like your task list that you may have. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes for me, I get like, I can let it get on myself a little bit, but like most of the time I intentionally try to say, really the task list isn't that important. Yeah. You want to get stuff done, but like, dude, if your girls want to like sit down and watch a movie, then enjoy it and do it. Right. Yeah. If it's not going to impact anybody's well-being.
Well, for me, did
I even answer your question?
You did. You did. It was just a very like circular answer. But I mean, tell me, one of the things that I'm struggling with right now is, I like you and I know a lot of people who have relaxing hobbies, right? I don't have any relaxing hobbies. Like I don't get to play video games very much. I don't really, I've never been one who enjoys like projects like, ooh, let's build a shed. And I'd rather you hit me in the back of the head and sell the milk.
So I like that kind of stuff.
But for me, I'm having, and plus I also don't want to do something that's going to take away time from my family. So I'm really struggling with this whole, cause I now have time, right? But I'm really struggling. And I don't know if it's more that I've gotten so far out of the habit that I can't find my way back to something.
But there's so many things, man. That's what I mean. Like, dude, there's so many different things, especially nowadays with like technology.
My struggle. Okay. So
you're not a technophobe though either.
I'm not a technophobe.
Or you are a technophobe, I should say.
Well, you're
not afraid of it, but
I'm not afraid of it,
but you certainly don't like it.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just, it doesn't hold my interest. Like I'll pull out the old phone and I'll do some research for our podcast, but that's about as far as I want to take it with computer technology. Yeah. Right.
I get it.
I just, I sat the other day and like wrote a list of here's like 25 hobbies. Nope. What it
doesn't, but I mean, but in the concept, what I would say in the concerning rest, I would say that hobbies really aren't part of that.
Well, is there such a thing as like a restful hobby?
See, I think once you're in a
Like
hobby, you're
whittling?
engaging in something.
Like, or, you know, like,
Okay, here's what,
owls?
okay.
I don't know.
Macrame. So there's 7 kinds of rest proposed by Psychology Today. In this, I'll post a link. Physical rest, mental rest, sensory rest, emotional rest, social rest, creative rest, and spiritual rest. With also, they also threw in there like cellular systematic rest. So at any point in time, if you think about this, any point in time, those you could have those at varying degrees where you got to like take a break from. However, I will say their spiritual rest thing was kind of weird in how they said that, but and we'll get to the biblical stuff here in a minute. So what I mean by a hobby is like if you had like a physical hobby yet you were already physically tired, that would be bad. You know what I mean? If you had a mentally engaging hobby, yet you've already done your whole day and your brain's already gone to mush and you try to do a mental activity that is good, that's not going to help you either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the hobby can depend on what that is. I mean, for me, man, it's just, it's the focus has to be on like, focusing on you and what you need in order to like release that period of time you were active, right? For whatever it is. I guess that's kind of the only way I can put that. I got a lot of stuff about how to rest and all this stuff, but really all this stuff that says like, how to really rest. It doesn't really, it doesn't really say much, right?
Yeah.
So from a psychological standpoint, they point out practice acceptance, meaning like you will accept yourself and temper your expectations regardless of how much work you get done. Be intentional, take in your surroundings. Like that's a good one though. Take in your surroundings. Like if you take a minute and you just like observe your atmosphere. Like if you were to walk outside your house, right? And you go, okay, you know, the sky looks like this. Trees look cool or not. There's a chipmunk in the driveway, and just take a look around and just be observant for a minute. That can help. That resets your perspective. Focus on yourself, which we already talked about. Rethink the narrative, which a lot of this stuff they're talking about is a very secular, materialistic way. So because they're talking about here with rethink the narrative. When I read this, it was like all about like how your identity really is what this pointed to, your worth and your value and what you get done. And like to rethink your identity farther than what that is. But in a biblical perspective, that's not what we think about at all. So that one I thought, well, okay, for Joe Schmo atheist, that's probably a good thing. But for a biblical person, you probably shouldn't be looking at yourself like that anyway.
Yeah, not at all.
So and then the other one was reasons why we don't rest is, you know, you're driven to succeed, you're perfectionist, you're uncomfortable with rest, you're afraid to rest, your mind racing won't let you rest, you don't understand what healthy rest looks like, or you confuse rest with sleep.
So sleeping is not rest, you don't think?
I think sleeping's because a lot of people struggle with sleep, dude. That's not restful sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be, and you need to strive to make sleep more restful. But anyway, so getting back to your thing, I'd say with concerning rest, man, it's just really like how can you trigger a point where you can be more internal, like you can let the outside world go, you can let all your brain just turn off your brain, and just what would be something you could do for those things in order to allow yourself to just breathe and focus on you for a minute.
Well, I'll tell you, I have enjoyed as of late just sitting in quiet.
Well, yeah, that's beautiful, dude.
Like just nothing, no television, no radio, no phone ringing, just kind of take a few minutes and just shut the world off and be like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and decompress. I find I'm able to decompress and my mind clears when I do that. But going back to the sleep thing, if you look at when rest is talks about in the Bible, the reason I asked that question is sleep is mentioned a lot. Like, for example, Psalm 4:8 says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell within safety." Jeremiah 31:20, "I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint." Psalm 127 says that God gives to his beloved in his sleep, right? In Exodus 28:11 requires resting on the Sabbath. Genesis 2:2-3 also mentions rest as God created for 6 days and then rested on the seventh day and set an example for the humans. So I feel like sleep is a way to rest, but I feel like there's more of like a wheel and there's spokes. And I feel like if we truly want to rest, we have to have mental rest. We have to have emotional rest. We have to have physical rest, which would be sleep, I would say. We have to have, mental rest in the sense of it's not always healthy to try to think about everything that's coming. Sometimes you just got to let what's coming come, and you just have to shut it off for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
But one of the things that I've always advocated in rest is recovery. And in recovery, I mean, things like active recovery. An example of active recovery would be going for a walk in the woods, right? You're taking care of your physical health, but you're absorbing this beautiful natural environment where you're getting a lot of oxygen and a lot of vitamin D from the sun. And then dietary rest, which is, people don't realize that when you take in tremendous amounts of processed foods and things like that, it doesn't allow your body to rest. It causes gastric distress. It causes all these things that happen in your body that cause you to be uncomfortable, sometimes sick. So eating well is helping your body rest, because if your body's processes are moving through, that means you're getting the proteins and the nutrients and all those things, and you're not dealing with all the side effects that come along with eating processed foods. So there's so many different angles for rest to come in at. And in the recovery angle, we have things like sauna, which is proven to help with sleep. We have ice baths, which is proven to help with recovery and immune system and nervous system recovery. And then you have therapeutic types of recovery. You have, massage, vagal nerve therapy, all these things that can be done on the side to help you rest. So it can get very complicated, but I think the main message I would try to put through is rest is not finding a chair and dropping in it and just quitting. That's not necessarily rest. You might get respite for a few minutes, but you've got to be very intentional about the things that you do and the ways that you treat your body, the way that you treat your mind, what you put in your head. For example, I'm a thriller, scary movie guy, but that doesn't faze me at all. To me, it's basically the same as like reading a fiction book, right? Except I'm watching it live. A lot of people watch that and it brings their nervous system up and it causes them distress. So you have to really kind of be very careful about the things that you're putting in there too. A lot of these people that want to binge watch these shows, I kind of had to step in a little bit with my youngest son because he would binge watch these shows and he would get just torqued.
In it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's not good for you. Right? That's not good for you.
Dude, on that note, here's a funny story about that. So I remember I was on my own. I was living in an apartment in Louisville. And this is when Netflix was still discs that they sent out, right?
DVDs.
And I was watching Farscape. Farscape I was getting them through Netflix at that point. And I remember I upped my subscription to get I forgot how many it was. I got the most I could get of Farscape because I knew I would have some that weekend I was free for some reason. I was like, dude, I must have watched, I don't know. It was 12 hours straight, dude. It was Farscape.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I did. I was just like, and and that night when I went to sleep, I kept waking up because my dreams were Farscape. You know, it was so much. It was so much. Now, look, it's a funny thing to do that. I think I don't necessarily think if you did that like every blue moon or so, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to do anything like that in a long time. So yeah, let me say this. Speaking of your kids and my kids, and you got to teach your kids to rest.
Yeah.
If you teach them now about the importance of rest, it's not a struggle with them later. Because look, our generation didn't talk about it.
No, we did not.
All we talked about was how much we got done.
I was raised by the builder generation, so every conversation was about the next thing we needed to do.
Right.
Right.
It's always your next thing. Always the next thing. What are you doing? How are you improving it? How are you fixing it? Oh.
Well, and we talk about, you were talking about earlier how that you have this 2-hour window where you're going to be more productive. That has to do a lot with, honestly, our circadian rhythm. And I found this really cool chart. And you can, if you look up circadian rhythm on Google, 100 charts will come up. They all say the same thing. But all right, so in a 24-hour period, so let's go to starting at midnight. By 2 a.m., you're at your deepest sleep if you're resting properly. By 4:30 a.m.,
what time are you going to sleep, though?
I'm going to sleep. Most people, I think they said the national average is 10 p.m., right?
See, I don't even go to sleep until like 1:30.
See, that's crazy. They say that's actually super unhealthy for you. But anyway,
sorry, but I was just curious.
But at 4:30 a.m., you reach your lowest body temperature, which means you're in a recovery state. Your body brings its temperature down. It causes different things to happen chemically within your body to help you recover. By 6:45 a.m., your blood pressure has its sharpest rise of the day, that's when it should happen. Right now, for some people who have blood pressure issues, that's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. By 7:30 a.m., your melatonin secretion from your brain actually stops because it's your body saying, "Hey, we're getting into the up and at 'em part of the day, right? Okay. So we don't want to keep dosing you."
But the problem with this, who actually sleeps like 9 hours, dude?
My wife.
9.5.
My wife. Now she has some short nights, but if she's a 9 or 10 hour girl. Like
man.
But at 10 a.m. you're supposed to be at your highest level of alertness. Right? See,
I max out at like 7 hours.
Yeah.
I'm up. It doesn't matter. I'm up.
If I'm not feeling well, I can sleep a lot.
No, that's different.
You know what I'm saying?
But I'm saying like for me, I usually do 6 hours.
Yes.
It's it.
Okay, so
anyway, sorry.
At right around 4:30, your body is at its highest level of coordination. At 5:30, you're at your fastest reaction time. At 7 p.m., you have your best muscle strength and cardiovascular efficiency. By 8:30, your blood pressure is at its highest it should be for the day. It should never be any higher than that. At 9, you're at your highest body temperature. At 11, the melatonin secretion starts. Right? Like when because you have stages of sleep, right? So, and this is if you're optimal, right? This is if you, if you're like me, I start work every morning at 6 a.m. So I'm up at 4:30.
Yeah.
But I also go to bed earlier. So where most people go to bed at 10, I go to bed at 8:30. Right. So it's a different rhythm for people, but I think this is actually looking at the circadian rhythm and how it's naturally supposed to be. I think this is almost a God-given thing that's saying, all right, guys, I'm going to build a cycle in you that's going to let you know. Right. And because that's not man-made, the circadian rhythm is naturally in all of us. Now, you can break it. I know many people that have just destroyed their circadian rhythm.
Well, I mean, I used to work, I tried to work third shift. I did that for a long time.
Yeah.
I hated it. It was awesome in a lot of ways, but like, dude, it eventually my body just didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. I did for many, many years. I did a second shift job, which was noon to 8 at the time. And I hated it because I felt like, all right, I get home at 8, I eat, I'm at bed at 10, I'm up at 7. I've got 4 hours of optimal time to get anything done. Then I'm back at work. I know many members of my family worked at night shift jobs, third shift jobs, and it just completely broke them down.
I know some people dig it and they do it for years and years and years, and it's fine.
No.
I know a lot of musicians are like that. When I was playing a lot, it wasn't unheard of to be up until like 5 or 6 in the morning, just doing stuff or whatever. But Dr. Matthew Edlund points to that sleep operates in 90-minute cycles. And then he also says that coincides with like your industrial consultants type of work or productivity or whatever, that in his study that topped out at productivity at 90 minutes too. Okay. So there's actually some studies that have been done here with cyclic stuff about things, right?
Yes.
But what that means is though, and he also talked about how like some of the, like when they looked at geniuses throughout I forgot I didn't write that down, but there was a lot of these like prolific famous authors or something, and they'd only work 4 hours a day. And a lot of them did like 2 hours in like morning, 2 hours in like this time or whatever. They split it all up because your most intense stuff is going to be in these cyclic patterns, and you want to take advantage of that. But you have, like, if you're really, this is what I mean. Rest is even more critical when you operate at a higher level on something. So like an Olympic athlete, rest is, that's not a question. It's a must, and it has to be intentional. And it has to be like really purposeful about the time and stuff. Otherwise, your time when you are doing whatever it is lessened. Your performance isn't maxed out, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like a mathematician or like a physicist or an author, especially a musician or whatever. Like you got to take these things into account. It's only cyclic and it's only going to be so long. Now I'll say this, like I know me as well as a bunch of other people I know, you go on these binges where you're like productive and everything for long periods of time. But eventually that's like, you got to, it's you know it too when it starts coming down. Like, okay, this is. But at that point, you've already done so much. Now your rest needs to reflect that too.
Yeah.
So that's just what I would say. That's my own experience with what I've dealt with. So what he's just saying, he's just clarifying for you, for us, and going back to your circadian rhythm and what I've been talking about cycles, that he's really saying, that we're pretty much 90 minutes appears to be the cycle in which between creativity and productivity, right? Mm-hmm. Also too, I think he was talking about, you got to remember that, especially with mental activity, like when you have writer's block or something like that, like just because you're not actively consciously working on it does not mean your subconscious isn't. And this happens to me all the time. Mm-hmm. I'll get to a point into a paper or to something, and I'll just be like, and I feel this drop in I'm like, okay, all right, I'm not going to get anything done for a while, and I'll step away. I'll come back though, and it's like it comes right back there. You got to let your own subconscious deal with things too. That never shuts off. The physical activity though, I mean, you got to let your muscles rebuild. That's what you're doing during physical activity. You're tearing your muscles down. Mm-hmm. And that's how you become stronger.
You're also weakening your immune system.
Either way. And in order to recover it's extremely important. I mean, I know that guys, like when I was in the gym a lot, there'd be dudes in there for way too long, way too many times, and it's like you could hear the conversations about how they're frustrated with their progress or whatever, they plateau or whatever. And and it was one of the things I always thought, why? I mean, no, they're in here so long and so much. How are they not making any? Well, they're not resting.
I'll be honest with you. I do an hour and 20 minutes, and 20 minutes of that is massage, because I will, at the end of my workout, I will intentionally walk into the massage chair and lay down. I will literally kick it back into a lying position and take 20 minutes after my workout to let my heart rate come down, massage the muscles, you know, get myself in a relaxed state of mind before I leave. You know, I see these guys all the time. When I was working in the gym, they get there at 8 a.m. and at noon they would still be there.
Yeah, it's too long.
And they're not competitive bodybuilders. They're not, you know, CrossFit athletes. They just think that if they work and work and work, and you're actually going against your results when you do that. You're breaking against your results. You're making your life harder. You're making your recovery harder. And there are very, very, you know, impactful side effects to overworking like that. Like you can damage muscle tissue, you can damage joints, you're much more likely to become injured. And these are the same guys that'll be like, oh man, I was up till midnight last night, and you know, and then I got up at 5 a.m. and worked a little bit, and then I came to the gym. Yeah, that doesn't work. When your sleep is equal to the amount of work you're doing, yeah, that doesn't work, right? And the average American works, you know, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average adult male works 8.45 hours a day. The average female works 7.74 hours a day. Now, I don't know about average, because I know many a guy who's up at 5 a.m. and home at 5 p.m. So I don't know where that average comes from. I don't know many people that only work an 8-hour day. Right?
Well, I think a lot of that too, and I think the 8-hour day is wrong.
Yeah.
And I see. So I try not to do a standard 8-hour day myself. Right. I try to be. I try to sparse it out throughout the day. Mm-hmm. I do. So I'll do. Generally speaking, everybody's going to do meetings and some days I have meetings all day, and during the regular business day, 8 to 5 or whatever. And it's like freaking all day I'm in meetings. And then at that point, it's like, no, I'm done. But on days when I can, I like to do like a little bit in the morning. I take an afternoon break. Then I do a little bit in the afternoon. Then I can do that. But then I come back in the evening when my kids are down to bed and do a little bit more or something. That's what I prefer to do, is space it all out.
Makes sense.
Because I mean, why would, you know, and I kind of have to do that anyway, because I work with a global team. And especially if I'm going to talk to people in India or Australia, that's got to happen in my way in the evening anyway. But yeah, the 8-hour day sometimes just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, man. I don't know. It's not really. Now I get it where we're, you know, we used to be in this agriculture / you know, medieval type of era where, you know, you had lanterns and stuff. Yeah. You had to do what you could during the day.
You had to yoke your oxen. And,
yeah. but you know. So again, let's talk about this, Brian. I mean, so rest in the body. You've already mentioned a little bit about this, but what establishes rest as far as theological terms go?
Well, that would depend on whose theology you're following. An Biblical example would be, you know, I have a friend he's a Jew. And he is a traditional Jew. So when sundown on Friday to sunup on Saturday, he can't read a book. He can't turn a doorknob. He can't answer a phone. He can't do anything, because he follows the old Jewish law where the Sabbath is sacred and holy, and you don't do anything. I really have a hard time with that, because the Bible kind of goes, you know, like it even talks about Jesus when they run to Jesus and he's asleep, and, oh, master, we need you. We're going to, you know, I think biblically, when God built us, he knew our limits. He knew that rest was necessary. So he attempted an example of rest in the seventh day. For human beings, he said, rest. Now, was he very specific when he stated that on the seventh day he rested, what the rest was supposed to look like? I don't recall in Genesis that being talked about heavily. But, you know, I honestly don't know, Reggie, what a specific, like,
Okay.
he talks about sleep a lot. He talks about,
Well, what I was
he
going
talks
for,
about the Sabbath meal and all those things being restful, but it would.
yeah, what I was going for is like, Christ rested on the seventh day.
He did.
That established rest as a example for us to follow. Like
Yes.
there's a rest necessary for life.
Yes.
Okay. Now you can, I think there's no cause to say that God needed rest. I don't think that's there at all in the text.
I don't either.
Okay. I think that was just to illustrate the life cycle functions and biological systems and ecologies and all this other stuff he developed have a rest cycle built into it. I think he was just demonstrating that to illuminate that was an important part of how the whole system works, right?
Yes.
But it's also the fourth commandment.
Well, yeah.
Oh, we are supposed to obey the Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
Honor the Sabbath, right? So I think that having a day where you say, hey, this is my day of rest, I think that's a great thing to do. What I have a problem with, though, is your day of rest being the day you go to church. Sometimes that's pretty hard for people, and that takes work to do that. I think your day of rest needs to be like traditionally, if you go to church on Sunday, make your day of rest on Saturday and just be at peace with do things for yourself.
Wasn't the original Sabbath on Saturday?
It was.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, well, you can go back to who that was. Well, man, I think that was later in the. Was it Constantine? I can't remember now. It was something like that, but no, it wasn't Constantine. That was it was later on. But anyway, my point is, because we're talking about rest and it's intentional and like it's focused on, you have to really focus on you and like letting things breathe and all that kind of stuff. Like if you're a family of like, if you got a couple young kids and stuff, trying to get them up and running and going and everything in the morning and all that kind of stuff,
that's not restful.
You're already stressed out. That's not restful at all. Right. And I just want to throw that out there. I'm not saying that that's what you should, that's like the law or whatever, but I'm just saying, man, I would reevaluate that,
Well, in the Bible, rest is defined as a state of being peaceful, composed, and inwardly quiet. Now, I would call that being more introspective. If you're being, I think there's certain things that we do as people of faith that should be restful moments. I think moments of prayer should be restful. You should be comfortable. You should be undistracted. You should be focusing on, that communication with God. But I think what we've got is we live in what I like to call an over-accessed, chaotic world.
Yeah, we do.
And we are encouraged or made to feel guilty encouraged to feel guilty when we do say, you know what, let's take a break. Let's stop everything right now. We're going to take my wife, she'll be the first one. If she was here, dude, this is a subject she would, she has real trouble with resting, like with stopping and because for her it's, well, I got to check on the kids. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of that. And I'll say to her, just sit down with me for a while. And then she'll sit there for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And then she gets antsy and then she's up and she's moving. And, I personally can sit for a few hours and not really focus on anything.
But I think that's where being intentional comes into play.
Yeah.
I think that's like, if you find yourself getting, you need to internalize it's not like that's going to be solved like that. Like you're going to have to practice. It's going to have to take some time to like figure out.
Yeah. It's going to take some study and
I need to, I need to just chill.
Yeah.
You got to, dude. I tell my wife the same thing, bro. She's the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work. It does not work. And especially if you have physical ailments or something and you're trying to do all this stuff and everything else and you're a driven person like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You have to start accepting your limits.
Yeah.
And understanding that rest is a productive activity.
It is.
It's part of being productive.
Yes.
Anyway, so look, there's a couple of things to note here with the. So the Lord rests. It says that in Genesis 2:2. The Sabbath is to be a day of rest. That's Exodus 31:15. The land of promise was to have rest every seventh year. That's Leviticus 25:4. And the temple was the Lord's resting place among his people. That's in Psalms 132:8 and 14, right? So then then we look at Israel was promised rest by the Lord in the land of Canaan. That's in Deuteronomy 3:20. And to the rest, the exiles would return from Babylon. To this rest, the exiles. That's right. That's in Jeremiah 46:7. Rest and felicity were to be David's great gifts to Israel. That's in 1 Chronicles 22:7 through 10. The great ideal of rest remained unfulfilled in Israel's experience. That's Hebrews, what Paul talks about there, because of unbelief and disobedience. Rest is also something to look to. That's an eschatological statement. I know that's a big word. I'm sorry, but I just like that word. That means looking to his return, right?
That's like a $12 word.
That's $12.
$12 word.
$2, man.
That's word of the day toilet paper right there.
Because what we're saying, because like in Hebrews, it says, by faith in Christ, we have entered into rest because he is our peace. All that come to him, he gives rest, right? And then rest that is relief, release, and satisfaction to the soul. That's Matthew 11:28-30. And this is all from like the New Bible Dictionary, by the way. And you still have, there remains the Sabbath rest, okay, for Israel. That's like, and it talks about that in Hebrews 4:9. That's the celestial city and the heavenly country, right? That's what we're talking about in the future. So there's for a believer, there's a rest that comes from being with him that we are now can partake in, right? Partake in his victory, right? He's won the war. We can rest in his victory. That's really what that all boils down to, right? Mm-hmm. And also too, Jesus said this himself, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So look, that's at Matthew 11:28-30. So clearly the burdens and stuff we have, give to him. Rest in him. So the really where I'm going with this is like a lot of times especially in today's time, there's so much complexity and complications and everything in life that we have going on. Mm-hmm. We got to say, you got to put the brakes on a minute and go, before I get stressed out about all this stuff, it's yours, Lord. That doesn't mean you're not going to do anything, but it just means that all that worry, the burden of that, you got to let go and let him take care of it. And then just do what you can and have faith that it's going to work out. Yeah. So anyway, we have a lot of, the rest is so critical and it's critical for there are all kinds of different levels, right? Whether it's like you've had a heavy emotional time, you need to take a little bit of break, not have stuff around there that's going to twerk you up too much. You got, you've had a physical time where you need to just let your body recover and relax so that your muscles can get back to where they're supposed to be. A mental state. It could be a work thing. Look, you've been working for a while. Look, can you take a vacation? Mm-hmm. Or, and I know a lot of people have sensory problems and they don't even know that, by the way. There's a lot of undocumented sensory issues that people have. They just don't understand it. It's an issue. Yeah. Especially in our current, era. I
think the number one existing sensory issue is that there is sensory overload everywhere you go.
Overload everywhere. You have music, you have noises, you have construction, you have all kinds of stuff all going on at the same time in all different kinds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to drive you nuts. Social rest. Dude, I know there's some times when I have people that wear me out. I'm done. I don't want to talk to anybody. I am so done. Right. Mm-hmm. You got to understand that's okay.
It's okay to protect your peace.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's okay. And look, if you're the man of the house, you're the father, you're the husband, protect their peace.
Yeah.
And don't let you become the cause of their you could though, that don't be, and there's some way to do that, but creative rest. Look, just as we are talking about just being men, that's part of it. Guard your rest. Look out for the rest of your family. Mm-hmm. Right. That's it. Make sure that's intentional. I'm not saying that you have to like be an overlord and say, hey, no, we're resting, because it's all going to be different for everybody in your family. Mm-hmm. But like for me, I'm always telling my wife, hey man, not man. Hey,
lady.
Hey, lady, woman, you got to calm down. It's okay. We got this. Chill out for a minute.
Yeah.
I can see, it's like, your spouse, dude. I mean, you'll know when they're too much, and you can say, look, it's time you need to calm down. What do you need from me? Step up to the plate. Just be like, hey man, what do you need to do? Mm-hmm. What can I do to help you rest right now? Yeah. That's it. Right.
Don't be afraid to ask the question.
And also too, look to the final rest. That's what I think a lot of times we Christians get so wrapped up in the world we live in that we forget that this isn't it.
Yeah. This is a stop off. This is a temporary layover.
Have an infinite view. Okay. And you're not going to understand that, but at least you can look to the time you're going to spend in eternity. That's really the thing. This is such a short-sighted thing. Do what he says. You'd be good. Do what you're told. Yeah. We're R&B Talks.
Like, comment, send us a serenade, but first and foremost, subscribe.
And look, only subscribe if you want to.
Yeah.
Only like if you want to. I don't care. Right? It's not. We're obviously trying to get somewhere with this, but at the end of the day, we're not one of those peddling influencer people who.
No, I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Don't really care. Yeah. So do that. Yeah. We're also looking for sponsors. If you happen to watch this and you want to sponsor an episode or so, let us know.
We would love to hear from you. We would love to communicate with you. And we would love to have communication from the people who are watching. I know it's tough. To communicate. Like when you're watching something and you're enjoying it, or if you're not enjoying it, to take the time to communicate, but it helps us make this better for you. It helps us, sharpen the old pen, make sure we're hitting in the right spots. So we'd love to hear from you. Love to have some comments. But until next time, I'm Brian.
I'm Reggie.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.